Hello Internet, this is TheStabbyBrit, and these are my thoughts after trying out Battlefield 1's community test environment on the PlayStation 4. Now, as you can probably tell, this is not CTE content. This is just random gameplay footage I recorded, because we're not allowed to record content on the CTE. So if you really want to see what's on there, well, you're just going to have to go and watch a PC streamer play on the CTE, because they can record just fine. Now, the console edition of CTE is currently a bit far behind the PC version. We don't get access to any of the new weapons, at least not the ranged ones, and we are currently playing on Lupkow Pass. So, my thoughts on this map are that, well, I think it's supposed to be a cavalry-orientated map. The problem is, it's not, and the reason it isn't is because cavalry just doesn't work on that map. There are far too many cliffs and obstacles for horses to get stuck in, and the rivers are especially toxic for this. I do remember seeing several times areas where a horse had gone into a river and they hadn't been able to proceed because of a fallen tree, and then in some cases they couldn't even turn around and leave the river again. My record was seeing 2 horses in one tiny space, and when I tried to steal one of the horses, I couldn't get it out. It couldn't go forwards, it couldn't go back up the river, it was hard enough actually getting it to turn around in the first place. So that really has to change. If this is meant to be a cavalry-focused map, and I would like to see a cavalry-focused map, that has to change. The map has to be much more cavalry-friendly. Less places to get stuck, less sheer cliffs where people can just stand on there and shoot at cavalry with immunity. That stuff has to go. Because if they did that change, then you would have a map where, aside from one plane on each side, there are no other vehicles. Oh, the behemoth, obviously. So aside from one plane each in the behemoth, there are no other vehicles, other than the horses. And that would be amazing, because I have seen the power of 2 cavalrymen working in unison. Imagine the damage that 3, 4, 5 cavalry, all working together, could cause if they were actually able to reach their enemies. As it stands, though, they can't reach their enemies. They just can't. There's too many cliffs, as I've said, too many impassable objects, which is a shame. So, with the cavalry effectively out of action, this is an infantry-focused map, and it's far too big for that. It really is. I like the overall design. There's lots of trees, which help protect you from the aircraft, and there's a lot of verticality to the map, which is nice and different. And it means that if you actually hold the high ground, you can just pour fire down on your enemies as they approach, which is nice. But it also means if you lose the high ground, you've got a hell of a fight to take it back. But a big map that's cavalry focused, well, first off, it just becomes a sniper fest, which is a little bit frustrating. And second of all, it means there can be a lot of foot slogging. I really don't think that big maps should be infantry focused. I think big maps need some sort of a vehicle element. And once again, this would be fine if the cavalry worked on Lupkow Pass, but they don't. So, that's basically my thoughts on it. I think the map has a lot of potential, but they just need to make some tweaks to it. Oh, and they also need to fix the cavalry. For whatever reason, I could not ride people down. Again, I wish I had footage of this, but at one point, I stopped my horse on top of a prone medic. The horse was literally stood upon his back, and he wasn't dying. It wasn't until I walked over his head that it finally recognised I was on top of him and killed him, as it should do. So, I don't know what changes they made to the horses, but I really, really hope they undo them. So yes, those are my thoughts. TheStabbyBrit, signing out.